'Twas some time around Christmas that I thought to myself, when last came a film quite as merry as Elf? It's a standard by which so few others compare, with its heart and sincerity, with its humor and flair. For whenever it seems like the Yuletide's in peril, I can always rely on Mr. Favreau and Farrell. So this essay I've written to try to explore why this comedy feels like a classic of yore. I have a question for you, and I hope it's not too personal. In your opinion, what exactly defines the Christmas spirit? I ask because, despite continuously putting out movies that are about the holiday, Hollywood seems to be unable to replicate the magic that made classic Christmas movies so special. In the last 2 decades, I can't think of a single movie that actually deserves to be labeled as a Christmas classic, leaving me to wonder, where are you, Christmas? And to answer that question, there's only one person we can turn to.
Buddy the Elf, what's your favorite color?
So let's examine what makes Elf not only one of the best Christmas movies ever made, but also the last Christmas classic Hollywood ever produced. Elf's brilliance ultimately stems from 3 key elements, summarized brilliantly in this quote from Roger Ebert, the first of which is brains. Comedies, especially Christmas comedies, often aren't taken seriously. Critics, audiences, and even some filmmakers tend to look at the genre as dumb disposable fun that doesn't require the same level of craft as prestige dramas. Luckily for us, Jon Favreau puts his heart and soul into every project he works on, and as a result, Elf is legitimately one of the most tightly crafted and brilliant films of the 21st century. Starting with the story, it's incredibly impressive just how well written the protagonist's character arc is, considering, well, he doesn't have one. If you don't know, there are 2 main types of character arcs. Positive arcs are the most common, in which the character changes for the better over the course of the story. Negative arcs are more common in tragedies, and see the main character either fail to change their ways, or actively become a worse person.
It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them!
A flat arc, which is what Buddy undergoes over the course of his film, sees a character tested by the world around them, but ultimately maintain their values and convictions. This is the least common type of arc because change is usually what makes a story compelling, but Elf's story structure has a few tricks up its sleeve to address this issue. The movie starts when Santa accidentally abducts an orphan who will later come to know as Buddy the Elf. As an adult, Buddy is full of Christmas spirit and wants nothing more than to be the best elf possible, but he struggles to do as well as everyone else in the North Pole.
Why don't you just say it? I'm a cotton-headed ninny-muggins.
This is the first time we see the world test Buddy. How can he be a good elf if he's not good at making toys? Isn't that an elf's whole reason to exist? This, combined with the revelation that he's actually a human,
You're 6'3" and had a beard since you were 15.
rocks him to his core. He begins to question everything, and Act 1 concludes with him deciding to leave the North Pole to go look for his biological father.
Hope you find your dad.
Act 2 of this movie is the real key to what makes Buddy's flat arc work, and what makes the movie overall so iconic. Buddy, with his childlike whimsy and unapologetic cheer, sticks out like a sore thumb amongst the cynical, no-nonsense population of New York.
Congratulations! World's best cup of coffee!
But that's the whole point. Everyone that Buddy meets in the Big Apple is in need of a change. Buddy's love interest, played by Zooey Deschanel, loves singing, but is too afraid to share her talents with others. However, once she spends time with Buddy and sees how positive of an impact his sincerity has, she sets aside her fear and begins caroling on live television. His half-brother initially thinks people like Buddy are the 2003 equivalent of cringe, but after Buddy saves his butt in a snowball fight, Michael realizes that Buddy isn't so bad, even going so far as to encourage Buddy to follow his heart and ask out Jovi. However, the biggest Grinch in the whole narrative is Buddy's dad. Walter runs a publishing company that focuses on children's books, and while that might seem nice on the surface, he cares a lot more about making money than making good books.
You think some kid's gonna notice 2 pages? I mean, all they do is look at pictures.
His home life, unfortunately, isn't much better. He has a distant relationship with his wife and their son, and his Christmas spirit is so low that he's managed to wind up on Santa's naughty list. He needs a lot of help, and lucky for him, Buddy is definitely a lot.
I love you! I love you! I love you!
Walter is not prepared for Buddy to come into his life, not only because it's crazy to find out he has another son, but also because Buddy actively represents everything that Walter isn't. Walter has closed himself off to the wonder and hope that Buddy so actively embraces. He denies the existence of his inner child, whereas Buddy is essentially just a Will Ferrell-sized 8-year-old.
My finger has a heartbeat.
Unlike everyone else, Walter doesn't fully embrace Buddy by the end of Act 2. He's warmed up to him a bit, even letting him come to work with him at times, but he still fundamentally views Buddy as a burden. This all comes to a head when Buddy accidentally insults a high-status author played by Peter Dinklage,
He's an angry elf.
ruining Walter's plan.
I don't care that you're my son! Get out of my life! Now!
There is nothing New York could throw at Buddy that would ever cause him to waver in his beliefs, but when his own father rejects him, Buddy fundamentally questions whether he's cut out to be an elf who spreads Christmas cheer.
I'm sorry I ruined your lives and crammed 11 cookies into the VCR.
In the middle of Walter's big pitch, Michael informs him that Buddy's gone missing, making Walter realize just how misguided he's been. Rather than focusing on his job like he always has in the past, Walter finally prioritizes his family, realizing that his relationship with Buddy is much more important than making money.
Hope yours.
Walter is the second most important character in the narrative, and could have easily been the protagonist if the movie was structured a bit differently. His positive character arc is the foundation of the film's plot, and the way he changes highlights why it's so important that Buddy doesn't. However, even if Walter is no longer a Grinch, that doesn't mean there aren't still people trying to ruin the holiday spirit by stealing your data. Having your right to privacy breached is enough to make anyone feel like a Scrooge. But with today's sponsor, NordVPN, you can rest easy knowing that its advanced encryption is keeping your info and browsing history private. With just one click, say goodbye to third parties like hackers or internet service providers monitoring your internet traffic. I personally use their VPN service daily because it allows me to access streaming content from other parts of the world and stops malware on all my devices. Their encryption is as strong as 10 men plus 2, and with speeds faster than the Polar Express, you'll be able to enjoy your favorite content from anywhere in the world. Privacy and peace of mind are two of the best gifts you can get someone, and if you go to nordvpn.com/writersblock, you can get the 2-year plan plus 4 additional months free when you use my link in the description. The Grinch might have stolen Christmas, but don't let him steal your data. Go to nordvpn.com/writersblock to get an exclusive discount and 4 months extra, all at no risk to you thanks to their 30-day money-back guarantee. Jumping back to Buddy, he sees Santa's sleigh crash over New York due to a lack of Christmas spirit. Due to his doubt, he doesn't think he can help, but Santa reminds him,
You're more of an elf than anyone I ever met.
and Santa's right. Act 3 is all about proving how great of an elf Buddy really is. Even though Buddy is physically helping Santa with his sleigh, his presence can be felt all over New York as the people rally to generate enough Christmas spirit. We check back in with everyone Buddy has helped throughout the movie and see how merry they've actually become. All of this is only possible because of the impact Buddy had on their lives. He doesn't change because he doesn't need to, and his commitment to spreading Christmas cheer is ultimately rewarded by the narrative. Flat arcs like Buddy's work best when other people around them change for the better, and Elf's entire script is designed to focus on just that. Despite its ridiculous premise, Elf shows a real intelligence in how its story is constructed. It's smart enough to deliver a perfectly crafted narrative, even if it's full of ridiculous Will Ferrell humor. Which brings me to the second element that makes this movie so special. Humor is subjective, so I'm not gonna sit here and explain why
So, good news. I saw a dog today.
makes me laugh every single time. What's more important is the approach to comedy that Elf commits to. Out of all the jokes contained within this movie, I'd argue that not a single one is at the expense of Buddy himself. Buddy makes us laugh, but we never really laugh at him. Take for example when he gets his dad this skimpy outfit as a present. The joke isn't, haha, Buddy is so stupid that he got an inappropriate gift. It's funny because Buddy truly wants to get something special for his biological father. The gift comes with a heartfelt card that even conveys convinces Walter that Buddy is his son. But the juxtaposition between that and Walter holding up the undergarments is what makes us giggle. It's a subtle nuance, but it reinforces that the movie views Buddy as being in the right. Despite the obvious misunderstanding, this is primarily framed as a really sweet moment. If a character like Buddy was in a lesser Christmas comedy, he would be looked down upon by the movie. The jokes would condescend him and judge his worldview. But Elf's approach to comedy makes us believe in how Buddy sees the world. The movie wants us to be like Buddy the Elf. He is an example the people of New York can only aspire to, and the comedy in this film shows us how much further they have on their journey. The jokes are well crafted, develop the characters, and are most importantly, sincere. Which leads me to the final element. One of the most important aspects of a Christmas classic is heart. Whether it's a Charlie Brown Christmas or even Die Hard, a healthy dose of heart is what grounds a movie in the spirit of Christmas. But this is easier said than done. Modern Christmas movies struggle to find a middle ground between subversive and saccharine. However, Christmas classics find the perfect middle ground by focusing on sincerity, and Elf does just that. Allegedly, the original script of Elf from the 90s had a much darker tone and was positioned to have a PG-13 rating. But when Jon Favreau signed on to the project, he did a rewrite which cemented the film as the upbeat family favorite that it is today. Favreau wasn't afraid to let the film wear its heart on its sleeve. It leans into all the best elements of Christmas cinema, but doesn't feel saccharine because the whole team actually believes in the message of the film. Elf is a movie that laughs in the face of cynicism. Not only is Santa real, but you're the silly one if you believe otherwise.
That's ridiculous. I mean, parents couldn't do that all in one night.
Like Buddy, Elf believes that the more in touch with our inner child we are, the better. Which brings me back to that question from earlier. What defines the Christmas spirit? Well, I think this moment from the Santa Claus sums it up the best.
Seeing isn't believing. Believing is seeing. Kids don't have to see this place to know that it's here.
Christmas is the one time of year dedicated to a childlike sincerity. The spirit of Christmas is the ability to believe that anything is possible, but such naive sincerity is incredibly vulnerable, which is why I think we haven't seen a true Christmas classic since Elf. For the past 2 decades, cinema has largely trended away from sincerity because, oh no, what if people online call our movie cringe? It's why there's such a plague of self-awareness and lampshading in modern Hollywood. You can't say our movie is cringe if we call it cringe first, but this fear of sincerity means that the Christmas spirit has all but disappeared from Hollywood. Luckily, things do seem to be trending in a positive direction. Recent films like Puss in Boots, Top Gun Maverick, and Everything Everywhere All at Once show that mainstream audiences can still appreciate sincerity in their movies. Heck, The Way of Water made $2 billion, and that movie is so sincere that half the runtime is just Free Willy in space. Like Christmas, good cinema is all about allowing yourself to believe in magic, letting yourself be vulnerable enough to get swept up in whatever story is playing out on screen. Now that Hollywood is starting to remember that sincerity is actually a good thing, I actually have hope that a new Christmas classic is possible. But as it stands, that's why Elf truly is the last Christmas classic, not to mention one of the best movies ever made. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for letting me talk. Happy holidays to all. From the Writer's Block.